Chapter 10, The Future We Create. Did they just kill all the kids and stuff at the Wayfarer's Tavern? That's a little fucked. This experience is surreal. I don't know how to feel. I'm rhyming for no reason. After everything I've been through, I'm finally here. A whirlwind of emotion overtakes me, and I panic. There are two thrones in this room side by side. One is a beautiful white and the other a dark black. I wonder which one does Velasquez rule Terra from? I scan the room and take in my surroundings. There's a part of me that finds this room familiar. Of course, I accept that as an impossibility. There's no way I've ever been here before. I'm not sure where Velasquez is, and this concerns me. But as if to startle, the door behind me slams shut. I quickly turn to see a man clad in royal gear. It's finally happening. This is Velasquez. After all this time, you're finally here. I started to think you might not make it. Please, offer me your hand, David. He puts forth his hand and looks at me expectantly. It's not in my nature to leave a king waiting like this. I quickly put my hand forward and introduce myself. He has a firm grip and happily leads the interaction. I know exactly who you are. There's no need for introductions today. If I'm not mistaken, you know me as well. He releases the grip on my hand and walks away, moving towards the thrones. I promptly follow suit. However, he doesn't sit, he stands between them. I was told you met Nami and Nagi earlier. That must have been unfortunate. Errant children often cause headaches. He rests one hand on each of the thrones and sighs. Errant children? What did he mean by that? I get the feeling I'm not in for a short discussion. Honestly, I'm not sure where to start. I've envisioned this day for a long time. But now that we're here, I'm at a loss. I'm sure you know the truth about Terra. A reservoir for the souls of the dead. My own personal heaven, or hell. Things are a little more complex, however, and I'm sure you have lots of questions. But permit me to speak before you inquire. You deserve to know the truth of things, so I will be nothing less than transparent. Please sit tight and listen to my tale. Now we're in space? The people know I'm not from Terra, but they don't know my true origin, nor the reason I've lived in eternity. I come from a large federation of worlds, a galactic community living in harmony. Of course, this was millions of years ago. I can no longer be certain of their status. Terra does not exist in the same space, so I've been out of contact for a long time. Earth as well cannot reach out. We are in our own reality plane. Billions of these closed-off spaces exist. They are given complete autonomy. You could even say that they get stranded, unable to return to the Federation. When I left it behind, it was hurting. We were in need of new sources of energy, so they looked to the brightest minds. They gave these visionaries world stones, the technology to create these planes, and the ability to shape their own reality. Is that what the gears are?
Maybe.
It was their job to find a utopia, and to create a new source of energy, something that could help us stay afloat. And if they did make a new energy source, they could use it to break out of their plane. They'd present this power to the Federation. But the power required would be vast. Breaking free would be a sign of success. Otherwise, they'd be stranded forever. Though that wasn't really a bad thing. That was the secret nature of this project. If the Federation died, we would live. Their catastrophe would not reach us inside, and we would only break out if we succeeded. It was a failsafe in both directions. Yes, I received several of these stones. I used them to try and save the Federation, but instead I caused so much disaster. The first thing I did was create Terra, a place for me to hide if things failed. My very own utopia, away from harm. Then I had to create another world, a world where I'd conduct this experiment. After all, I was a Federation scientist. But I thought outside of the box. If I created it, I knew I'd fail. I was uncertain and afraid. Our deepest feelings enter our creations. I couldn't paint this canvas without doubt. If I did, it would quickly meet its end. So I created a sort of bridge, a place between worlds, connecting them. Somewhere to experiment and watch from afar. A celestial observatory deck, you could say. Close, yet too far for collateral damage.
That's when I took the next step in my plan.
I used the stones to create two beings. They were made in the image of perfection. They wouldn't have the doubt that I did. Their sole purpose was to succeed. Error wasn't in their nature. They'd surely carry out my goal. Except they're evil as hell. Yes, I created Nami and Nagi. I created Terra, and the Ark as well, all using the power from these world stones. After that, I fixed the stones to a spear, and I gave my creations a special gift, the ability to create a perfect world. They made what would become Earth. Standing on the bridge, they used the spear. They fulfilled the duty I created for them. This is the story of the creation of Japan that they were talking about.
Yep.
But I've learned perfection is fleeting, or at least sabotaged by our own curiosity. They wanted to know more about themselves. This desire for knowledge hurt the Earth. They started to neglect their duties. I had no choice. I had to open up to them. But they were not accepting of the truth. They were all thralls of the Federation. They said they'd rather not exist. I felt guilt for creating them. They only lived to serve the Federation, but instead of guilt, they felt anger. I couldn't stand up to them. They embodied the power of the stones, but they held a weaponized version too. I begged them not to kill me, but they said they had far worse plans. They'd make the Federation suffer first. They wanted to see who was playing God, who was condemning people to these fates, even if it was for the greater good. I'm sure they would want to kill them. They'd seek to tear the Federation apart. They were convinced this was a just cause. To that end, they broke free. You see, the stones weren't living beings. They couldn't grow stronger with experience. But Nami and Nagi could, and did. I cursed the fact that I created them. My abstract thinking condemned us all. But they didn't just leave me behind. They engaged in a ritual before they left, something to curse me for what I had done. They used the spear to plague Earth. Disease, famine, death, darkness. They wreaked havoc on what we created. This broke the spear into 3 fragments. 2 of them are the weapons they carry. The third they hid away from me on Earth. They told me they'd return one day, after they met the Federation's leader. That's when they would finish me off. They wanted me to suffer for eternity. Watch Earth fall apart for their cause. I'd see my entire cause fall before me. They had the power to destroy the galaxy. They'd rampage in search of the Federation, and I'd never get that 3rd fragment. My creation would crumble before me. They would destroy the people I served, and then they would come back to kill me. At least, that's what they thought. But I'm not what you call foolish. I didn't give them all of the world stones. I kept some to myself, a contingency plan. But this time I did the opposite. I created a being to help me rule Earth. However, I didn't model them to be perfect. I wouldn't hold them to such standards. But together we would rule over the worlds. They would call the Ark their home. Reo was a fine ruler and son. He helped govern Nagi and Nami's curse. He was in control of the force of death. This helped Earth stay correctly populated. He could even prevent the spread of disease. He kept the balance of things in check. But I noticed something peculiar. A byproduct of my children using stones. Death had an aspect of power to it. When someone died, energy was released. I don't know how to explain this, but it was an unfathomable amount. I guess you could call it a spirit. But we had no way to utilize that energy, so the spirit simply withered and vanished. At that point, Reo had an idea. The spirits could form on Terra. When they died, they'd come to my paradise. I agreed without a moment of hesitation. We put it into effect as soon as we could. I used the last of my world stones for this. But I knew that it would be worth it. The energy started flowing through Terra. When they arrived, we wiped their memory. We made them think they fled their home. They wanted to start life anew on Terra. Their life energy would no longer be wasted. We even created a questionnaire for them. They told us their likes, and we catered. Terra had its own laws of reality. It expanded to accommodate this traffic. You could call it a growing paradise. That is what gave Terra its image. We were always open for immigration. However, they were only coming from Earth. I did have an ulterior motive, though. I wanted to grow this power on Terra. Maybe one day it would be enough to escape. Then I could help the Federation. Or, if anything was left of it. I had no way of seeing the situation. But it didn't work as I intended. The power was far too diluted. I needed a way to concentrate it. However, I had other things to worry about. This traffic was starting to corrupt Terra. Nami and Nagi's curse was quickly spreading. The more people died, the worse it got. It even corrupted ṛouᴉ into what he is now. Warped his powers, gave him more abilities. Terra got the brunt of it, though. Disease, famine, death, it all came here. It no longer was this world expanding. It turned my paradise into a living hell. It became overpopulated very quickly. You couldn't walk without hitting someone. This made me realize something shocking. Nami and Nagi would be gathering power. The rampage would result in lots of death. But they held the ability to concentrate it. If I wanted that, I'd need the fragment. So ṛouᴉ and I started looking thoroughly. Okay, we're finally back to the throne room, so I'm hoping we're at the end of this exposition. Oh, David's trying to comprehend this, and he's just silent. He's like, dude, what? We looked and searched all over Earth, in constant fear of Nagi and Nami's power. They had far too much of a head start. Eventually, we found the fragment. With everything in place, we planned. How do we grow enough power to stop them? We had to set a trap. They could likely sense energy, so we needed enough to lure them back. But my past had taught me one thing. The stones on my scepter were not enough. I needed to make something living, something that could grow exponentially. So the third fragment was his scepter. And as unbelievable as this is, I was following along. He had a way of explaining things in a clear fashion. No, he doesn't.
No.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Maybe clear as mud.
Yeah, well. Well, I mean, the story is there, but it's like, Jesus, calm down. Basically, we wanted to lure them back. We'd unleash our power and tap into theirs. After all, they were harvesting too. I had to assume they held more power. So we only needed to get their attention. Then, or when they came, we'd spring the trap. Everything would be present in one room. All three fragments, them, and our lure. A battle would likely ensue, but everything would be connected. We could unleash every bit of power.
David's a giant stone.
Yep. That's when I'd break free from here. But I wouldn't stop at just that. I'd go on to break out every reality plane. It would cause a massive chain reaction, and in the end we'd all be free. We could live in harmony like before. We'd open trade routes and help each other. All of the connections would be open. This has always been my goal, David. The Federation would live on, and billions of worlds could coexist. I'd do what no one else could accomplish. That's what I told the people, too. I was just selective in my wording. They could never know their true nature. They couldn't know that they were dead?
And that they're a power source? No.
Yeah, you don't want to tell somebody they're dead in a battery. Okay, so let me make sure that I have this straight. Yeah, let's try this. Let's try narrowing this down. He created gods, and they went on to rebel. They cursed the earth, so Velasquez made ṛouᴉ. But eventually Terra became cursed as well. Nami and Nagi wanted to destroy the Federation, so they were likely harvesting energy from death. This meant they were destroying reality planes. Velasquez wanted to kill them and save the Federation. But he wouldn't just stop at saving the Federation. He'd give the freedom to all of the reality planes. This would pull them into the same physical space. A new universe would be born, completely connected. If that was to happen, he'd need to lure them back. This meant concentrating power in his own vessel. If they came to harvest it, a battle would ensue. All of that power in a single room would be unleashed. This is what Velasquez would use to carry out his plan. he'd combine his energy with the energy they harvested. It would be like when Nagi tried to unleash my power. However, instead of destruction, it would be liberation. And that is when one incredible fact dawned on me. Yes, I see you figured it out. About 10 years ago, I started a movement. I presented it as the Exodus Project. I promised I'd open all the connections. It was always destined to fail, David. At least the public would see it that way. But from my view, I set things in motion. I gathered many of Terra's brightest minds, much like the Federation did in the past. Together, we'd plan a course of action. We needed to create a living being, a vessel with the power of a world stone. Such a feat seemed almost impossible. But one night I was struck by inspiration. A method that would surely accomplish this. Of course, I could never tell the others. It involved their sacrifice, David. I killed them and stored them in my staff until I had enough power to serve my goal. I'm not proud of my actions. I didn't want to take after Nami and Nagi, but I needed enough power to create a lure. Then Velasquez killed PB and Fidget's mother. That's a horrible thing to do. I'm shocked. Don't jump to conclusions, David. They are still alive and well, just held within the vessel I created. And that's where I was quite dishonest. The Exodus Project was not a failure. In fact, it created you. I take a few steps back. My confusion intensifies. I start to panic. That was the last thing I expected. This feeling must be akin to what Nami and Nagi felt. Am I just a pawn of Velasquez, of the Federation? Please, my child, do not panic. It's not as complicated as you think. Allow me to continue explaining. You were to help Terra's overpopulation. You'd take a fraction of Earth's souls. This would ease our trouble and grow power. But when a Terran died, they faded away. The remaining power ended up wasted. Okay, so that was my question. Someone on Terra dies, they just poof.
Yep.
So I made that go to you as well. I couldn't stop immigration completely, so I found a slight loophole, if you will. All the power would still end up inside you. You house the souls of billions. There is limitless power within you. The most beautiful of my creations. I don't know how to feel. This doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't. What about my memories and my name? I know this must be a shocking revelation, but all of these souls fight for dominance. You may inherit their memories or ideals. Your true name is not David Tennant. One of the lost souls gave you this moniker. Someone strong enough to influence you. And control you they did for a while now. But the other souls still fought this. You might have noticed some inner conflict. Maybe you said something you didn't mean, or you thought seemed unlike you. If not, then I'd consider yourself lucky. You have a sort of omnipotence. You can see events happening away from you, much like ṛouᴉ has his special sight. But you do not retain this information. Only the souls that witness it do. It's weird, knowing and not knowing. That would be the source of any doubt. Memories conflicting with David's soul. It would definitely make you seem ignorant. But you are nothing of the sort, my child. And you won't hold these souls forever. You'll have freedom when the battle is over. You'll be able to retain your physical form, but you'll hold on to the strongest soul. You'll truly become David. That is, if there is enough power. So we must hope you are strong enough, and that Nami and Nagi have enough as well. I don't think I've ever been more confused. So I was an amalgamation of billions of souls, and David was the name of the strongest soul within. I didn't like this, but I could gain my independence. It explained how I met with people who have died. They must have been stored in me as the vessel. There had to be a way to release them, or revive them. I notice he doesn't mention ṛouᴉ or his plan. Was he keeping that secret even from Velasquez? If that's the case, I feel good about my odds. ṛouᴉ had been growing this power for an eternity. But ṛouᴉ told me he didn't know what my power was. That's odd that sending souls to Sarah was his idea. I said Sarah.
Yep,
Sending his souls to Terra was his idea. It wasn't a hard connection to make if you knew. They were both aware of the energy death created. It could be another lie. Or maybe he forgot. He'd been living the same cycle over and over. His only objective was to grow this power within me. I feel unworthy of such devotion, even from ṛouᵉ. But yes, that is the story. The achievement unlocked was Sympathy for the Devil. Now you know the entire truth. You are made to fight Nami and Nagi. You'll defeat them and unleash the power. Then you can reshape reality as you wish. You don't have to take after my ideals. But I know there is no evil within you, so the universe is in capable hands. I trust your judgment, David Tennant. Are you giggling over there?
Yes.
Just then the throne room door was kicked open. I didn't even get a chance to process all of this, but at that moment I realized I'd never get to. Nami strolls down the red carpet towards us.
What a beautiful story, Father. Obviously warped in your favor. Don't listen to him, David.
Nami, it is not yet time. I'm speaking with my child. We have much to discuss.
So the Exodus Project made you, huh? I knew there was something about you, but I wasn't able to make the connection. Father mentioned the project succeeded, but I didn't know you were its creation. A living vessel, just like Nagi and I. You can't be the only one, though. We should have won in that ballroom. Someone tapped into the flow of power. Father, you're a horrible man. You went on to create more slaves. Why didn't you learn your lesson?
I did, Nami, I truly did. That is why David and ṛouᵉ won't fail. I've placed all of my hope on them.
So the other one is called ṛouᵉ? Another name to add to my list? None have been able to escape my wrath. Father, you're a foolish man. I can't believe David would trust you. You only create others for your own gain.
Nami looks at me, displaying signs of sadness. She lowers her sword as if to show a lack of hostility.
Father is a pawn creating more pawns. He doesn't love his creations. If they rebel, he wants to kill them. I'm sure he's planning our demise. And it's likely he wants to use you. That's all he ever does, use people. All of Earth and all of Terra. It's full of pawns to achieve his goal. Renewed sustenance for the Federation. Nobody here exists beyond that purpose. And that is the harsh truth of things. The Federation thinks they can play God. Or at least, they did think that.
What? Nami flourishes her sword before attacking Velasquez. She skewers the blade through his gut, smirking. Looking straight into his eyes, she laughs.
Your Federation is no more, Father. Destroying it was almost too easy. Our sights have been set much higher now. But I've waited so long for this. The chance to destroy your dreams and punish you for everything you've done.
Blood drops to the floor and I look on in shock. I want to do something, but I can't come between them. I'm paralyzed in fear as I watch Nami kill Velasquez. Nami, please.
We had such a hopeful existence. We had the potential to do anything. But in the end, we were slaves. I believe in a life of limitless purpose. Not a life planned out by a creator. You can't tie me down with strings, Father. We lost all hope when you told us the truth. And now, I will do the same to you. Your Federation is gone, completely razed. You've waited millions of years, and it was all for nothing. No hope exists. You can't stop us.
Velasquez trembles, losing a severe amount of blood. There is distance between them, as the blade is so long. No, Nami. You're wrong. Hope will always exist within us, even when it seems like there is none. It's up to us to chase after it. Instead of that, you gave up. Only those who persevere will survive. He grabs the blade and pushes it deeper inside of him. It causes him more pain, but closes the distance. He takes steps as he does this, moving towards Nami.
Father.
You lashed out, instead of looking for hope. I'm not to blame for your tantrum. But there's one thing I know for sure.
He impales himself further, taking more steps forward. A trail of blood spills behind him and he gets weaker.
You think you destroyed the Federation, but it's based on the idea of unity. And Nami, an idea can never die.
He's finally close enough to take action. He grips his scepter and drives it through her chest. She grunts in pain, twisting the blade within him. They really like twisting it! Velasquez coughs up blood and turns to look at me. I knew this was over. He wasn't coming back.
David, the rest is up to you. Shape reality as you see fit. Do what I always knew you could.
Nami turns the gear on her blade, crying in pain. The room fills with a flash of white light, but I can see the look on their faces. Sorrow, like a father and daughter regretting lost time. Okay. Hello? Another one bites the dust. Great. Nice achievement name there. And when it subsides, they're both gone. The only thing remaining is Nami's sword on the ground. I walk towards it slowly with a sense of anxiety. Did all of their energy merge into this blade? I kneel down and pick it up with intense hesitation. If that was the case, its power was incredible. The power of Nami, the scepter, and myself. If anything could stop Nagi, it was this. But when I pick it up, I hear clapping behind me. I turn to see Nagi standing by the throne room doors. He must have been watching and enjoying the show. His slow claps echo loudly through the chambers. He walks towards me and takes out his blade. I do the same in turn and we meet in the middle. We stand in front of each other, weapons outstretched. I can feel beads of sweat make their way down my body.
Do you really think you can win, David? Remember what happened last time? You got lucky. But it won't happen twice.
I stand my ground and grip the sword tighter. Last time I didn't stand a chance, but with this sword I might be able to win. Yeah, you don't know how to use it, you said that yourself. Especially if it's connected to the power within me.
We've harvested for an eternity, you know. You were only created a decade ago. What makes you think you're stronger? Nami was much weaker than I am, and the scepter's power is almost gone. I don't see how you could defeat me. You might as well give up. Or at the very least, join me. Not everybody can wield that blade.
He's insane if he thinks I'd want to join him. He and Nami must have destroyed so many reality planes. The lives of countless billions were in this blade. I wanted to free them, not harvest more. But at the time, he could easily defeat me. At the same time, I'm unsure if I had power enough to stand before him, or stand up to him. There's a part inside of me that wants to join him. The souls inside of me must be fighting one another.
Conflicted, I presume. It's no surprise, given what you are. You're no different, you know.
Oh, we're no different. I keep fucking it up.
Tools created by Father. No, tools created by the Federation. Only left with doubt when told the truth. If you didn't help him, he'd kill you. He did it to Nami without any hesitation. We are only fighting for our freedom.
He lowers his blade like Nami did earlier. He then stares into my eyes and smiles.
Don't you want freedom too? Your destiny has never been your own. Everything has been decided for you. I'm not as evil as Father made me out to be. I just went against his horrific ideals. He believes that slavery is acceptable. It's not just my freedom that I desire. I desire freedom for every living being. For that, the shackles must be destroyed. In this case, it was the Federation, and the scientists chosen as pawns. Believe me, they've been destroyed. But I realize there's even more. Our journey has been long, but I know it's nowhere near complete. There's nothing to connect anymore. We've harvested everything, David. Your reason to exist is now invalid. But trust me, I know that pain. Nami and I endured it for an eternity, all in the name of our noble goal. I can tell what you're thinking right now. So many souls are contained within you, all fighting each other for dominance. Their viewpoints may always conflict, but one desire will be universal. They all want freedom, to live again. I want that for you as well, David. But I won't just stop at you. I'll make sure everybody is truly free.
I can't tell if he's genuine or playing me. As soon as he mentions inner conflict, my mind fires up. Millions of voices sound in my head, and it's insane. He uses this chance to start walking towards me. I can no longer grasp what thoughts are my own. Do I agree with Nagi, or do I oppose him? My grip on the blade tightens and then loosens. This confusion allows him to keep approaching me.
I mean you no harm. We don't have to fight. Not yet. I'll give you the chance to decide. Father told you a twisted tale. He must have made me seem so evil. But I have a tale of my own, you know. And I'd love to tell it to you.
He approaches me and places a hand on my shoulder. It feels like when Ṛouᴉ did the same thing to me. It's familiar, yet a little worrisome. I don't think Nagi would be taking me to the Ark.
You'll get the chance to see my home.
Oh dear. Where are we going now? I'm enveloped in a flash of white light, much like when Nami spun the gear on her blade. But this is different. We're moving. For a moment I wonder where he could be taking me. Would you like to save your game? Yeah, we're gonna have to end it.
Yep.
Because damn, I'm already gonna have to break this into 2 parts.
Yep.
Holy shit. Okay. Oh, hey, look, the actual name of the place is correct now.
Yep.
So yeah, this episode's been running extra long. I'm probably gonna break into 2 parts. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.